I ask because some of your Democratic colleagues say that they don't think the administration has a clear end game in Iran. Do you have concerns about how they know when to be done with Iran?
Welcome back, guys. So, CNN's Kaitlan Collins recently sat down with John Fetterman, and I've got to say, watching this is just wild. If you've been reading the room lately, you already know the vibe. A lot of folks who knocked on the doors and voted for this guy are feeling completely blindsided, watching him act like a Democrat in a name only. We've got Fetterman out here practically cheerleading for the Trump's administration's, disastrous military moves in Iran. It's hard to watch, especially when you remember the populist anti-establishment platform he actually ran on. We are going to dive deep into this clip of this, pretty tense back and forth between him and Caitlin. So grab a snack, and we really need to talk about this. So let's roll the tape.
President Trump this week began referring to the war with Iran as an excursion. Asked today, which is it, excursion or war, the president offered this explanation.
You just said it is a little excursion, and you said it is a war. So which one is it?
Well, it's both. It's both. It's an excursion that will keep us out of a war, and the war is going to be. For them, it's a war. For us, it's turned out to be easier than we thought.
And joining me tonight is Democratic Senator of Pennsylvania, John Fetterman. And thank you, Senator, for being here. Do you agree with President Trump when he says that he believes the United States has won the war at this point?
I think what I would agree with is that I think the outcome thus far has been outstanding. If you just look at the metrics, that the missile and the drone attacks are down in the 90s%, and Iran really has been inability to just strike back and hit our assets or Israel much right now. So after eliminating all of the leadership after 7 or 8 days and achieving air supremacy after a couple days, I think overall, I think it's been an outstanding where we're at.
When do you think it would get to a point where you would call it a victory?
Well, who exactly knows? But I know Israel's going to continue to pound Lebanon, and well as Iran now too. As now we can't forget exactly what's accomplished. They were able to eliminate most of the leadership and actually effectively destroyed their military apparatus. And the only thing that they've ever been to do is fire off a couple random drones and do the thing. They've been unable to impact about either the Israeli society or their military or ours here.
Well, I ask because some of your Democratic colleagues say that they don't think the administration has a clear end game in Iran. Do you have concerns about how they know when to be done with Iran?
Yeah, I'm very much aware that I'm the only Democrat in the Senate that supports this operation, and I'm going to continue to do that. And I would remind all of your viewers, whether it was Hillary Clinton when she was running for president or Kamala Harris when she was running just in 24. In fact, she actually identified Iran as her top concern. She called Iran a grave danger. And now every single Democrat agrees that they can never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb. And now Donald Trump has done that, made that virtually impossible to achieve their nuclear weapons. And they've effectively broke the entire Iranian military apparatus. I don't know why we as Democrats, if we had all those kinds of goals and those kinds of concerns, and now that he's achieved that, why now we only can criticize that, or they could always make it seem like it's been a failure or things are out of control. That's just categorically not true. And now I think my hard red line, boots on the ground. That's when I would get concerned if they start to talk about boots on the ground. And now I think even Secretary Hegseth has even said, no nation building, no nation building. No one wants to be a part of that. That was never a part of this mission thus far. When every single Democrat is, have to sit back and witness Trump developing this kinds of situation, or every single Democrat wanted those things. Now, I'm not sure why they can't just acknowledge that that's been a positive outcome. Whether that's just politics, for me, it's just been nothing more than a choice of country over what parts of the base would demand to condemn or pretend that it's a terrible situation.
Okay, so your red line is putting U.S. forces on the ground in Iran. The president said today that he views this both as a war and an excursion. When you talk to people in Pennsylvania, do they view this as an excursion?
I would see this as us achieving a critical goal, a critical goal that I would remind people that whether it's Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris all agree, we should never allow anyone to acquire a nuclear bomb. I would challenge any single member of the Democratic in the House. Are you okay with Iran acquiring a nuclear bomb? I don't think anyone is okay with that. And now Trump made that now virtually impossible. I can say I would describe that an incredibly positive development, something that we all Democrats support, or we all wanted to have those things.
But I think some people may take issue with the term excursion that the president has used, given U.S. forces have died as a result of this. How do you see that term?
I'm not getting into semantics. Call it what it is. I would call it as thus far incredibly successful, and that's very compatible with every of the wishes and the concerns of the Democratic presidential candidates, and now anyone that's serving in Congress, here in Pennsylvania or in any state in our country.
All right, so Fetterman refuses to get into the semantics of whether the conflict is a war or an excursion. Okay, but hold on a second. He also just said that he had, a choice of a country over the base, because let's be brutally honest here. If you talk to the very people in Pennsylvania who put him in the office, they are feeling absolutely gutted right now. People are literally writing to his office saying they regret their vote. If Fetterman truly believes that blindly rubber stamping an impulsive, deeply unpopular conflict is putting country first, he might just as well switch his party registration to Republican or Independent today, The reality is, polling shows that this war is hovering around a 40% approval rating. The American people have seen this movie before. We know how these endless foreign conflicts start, and we know that they don't end well. And frankly, watching him try to spin this as some massive clean success, while the administration is trying to cover up the real damage, the casualties, and the base strikes, it's just insulting to our intelligence. Like, they didn't even try to sell this to American people first.
We're aware of a House representative or a senator that's okay with that. I would love to just talk to them why it's okay that if Iran would acquire a nuclear bomb.
You mentioned how you differ from your colleagues, your other fellow Democrats. Every Senate Democrat except you signed a letter today to Secretary Hegseth asking for an investigation into that strike on a girls' school in Iran. Why did you not sign that letter, Senator?
Well, because we all agree that it's a tragedy having the school hit. Absolutely. And we all agreed now for an investigation. What I don't agree with the rest of my colleagues in the House is that it's a war of choice, or it's dumb, or all the things that my colleagues have described, this operation. I think it's a good thing, and I support that. So we agree that and actually the Pentagon is already investing it. They just acknowledged then that it seems increasingly likely that we were now on that. And now I think it's entirely appropriate. Just like my colleague from Louisiana said, it's like, we should apologize that's a tragedy. And I would remind everybody listening right now, the United States never, ever targets civilians. Iran does, and including their own citizens. And they massacred 35,000 of them just a couple of weeks ago. And the left, please, the left media is much more angry, about or talking about this hospital, and it is a tragedy. But they didn't seem to be as concerned about the Iranians massacring tens of thousands of their young people just a couple of weeks ago too. So we agree on many parts of it, but we both disagree. I mean, we all disagree that I think it's a good thing, and every single other Democrat in the caucus caused it all kinds of in negative terms.
We did cover the protest in Iran extensively here at CNN. Obviously, they said a lot about how internally people felt about the regime. But just to be clear, you do believe if the United States,
media, and I didn't refine you as.
I understand. I just wanted to make that clear to our viewers that we did cover that. But just to be clear, you do believe if the United States was responsible, that the Pentagon should acknowledge that they accidentally hit a girls' school.
Yeah, I've said that. I said it seems that they've already acknowledging all those things. I think largely that letter, it was rendered moot at this point after that's already come out. Now the Pentagon has agreed that they were behind that. And I don't know what your network talked about, but what I'm saying that whether like it's the New York Times, they're making it more and more trying to convince America that this has been a disaster or things are out of control. And that's just categorically not true on that.
I just think it deserves coverage. Obviously, given the number of children who were killed as a result of it, it obviously matters what happened there. We'll see what the Pentagon investigation says. Senator John Fetterman, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for joining us, as always, here.
Yes. Oh, no, you don't have to cut me off here.
Go ahead, Senator. We're not cutting you off.
Well, you said something that it's like it's appropriate to cover it. It is appropriate to cover it. You know, it's a tragedy, absolutely. You know, and now if we were on that, it's entirely appropriate for her to apologize. If you're implying that I don't think it's wrong to cover it, that's just not true. Yes, it's being covered. I just want to clarify that. It just seemed like a short shut off there to imply that I didn't want to carry that, or I think it's entirely appropriate to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not implying that. I just wanted to clarify why we're covering it for everyone who's watching. Senator, thank you. I do always appreciate hearing your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so let's unpack the end of that because wow, first off, did you catch how defensive he got right at the end there? Like Kaitlan Collins was just trying to do a standard professional wrap up and he immediately gets combative, right? Thinking she's trying to silence him. Honestly, I really wish Kaitlan had, pushed back a lot harder throughout this whole interview because the level of deflection was off the charts. And though, to be fair to her, it is incredibly frustrating watching journalists have to stay perfectly calm while the politicians literally talk over them and refuse to answer the actual questions. Like, deflecting if the semantics of is this a war and excursion, and the other things too. But the biggest red flag here is Fetterman's claim that the US never targets civilians. Are we seriously pretending double tap drone strikes during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars never happened? Like it's a documented history. Now we are hearing reports of double digit schools and hospitals being hit. And he's just blindly parroting the administration's talking points, acting like we are the undisputed good guys in a black and white superhero movie. Iran didn't attack us first. This is a war of choice. No matter how much he tries to dress it up or deflect, the fact that he is proud to be the only Senate Democrat cheerleading this is just, it's a tough pill to swallow for the people who elected him. I want to hear from you guys though. Are you feeling as alienated as the Fetterman's pivot right now as everyone else seems to be? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below and don't forget to like and subscribe and also don't hesitate to criticize me if you feel anything wrong about this. Okay. Thanks for watching this and I'll meet you soon in the next video.